My name's Cassie Pierce. This is Piece of Prairie Organic Farm. The other group's going to go with Taryn, and she's going to give you a little talk about the opportunity to get GAP certified in a group. And just so you kind of know from the farmer's perspective why that's important, there are a lot more opportunities now than ever to sell wholesale, schools and food hubs and things like that. And a lot of that becomes more and more possible if you are GAP certified, which is just a food safety certification. So she's going to give you that rundown, I think kind of over there, half of you. And then she said she'd maybe take 15 minutes or so. And then my folks, my stepdad and mom, who do all of our washing and packing, will be over here by our wash pack area. So when you're done with Taryn, if you have some extra time, you can go check out our cooler trailer, ask them questions about our wash process and all that stuff. So why don't we just do this, like right here? And you're free to hop groups if you want. Maybe you go this way if you don't mind. If you guys would stay with me first, and then you guys go with Taryn first. Does that look about even? And feel free to, it's not a, yeah, just looked about right. Yeah, okay. Yeah, and we might just wait a little bit for Meredith. She said Meredith and Lainey. Yeah. Let's go a little bit farther so you can hear me over her. So anybody in this group farming right now and selling? Okay. All right, cool. So a lot of interest. You guys are too? Yeah, we are. Okay, right on. Very cool. All right, I think I'm just going to start. Yep. I'm not going to wait anymore because why would we? All right, so my name's Cassie. This is my place. I've farmed this place with Doug, who's kind of our new sort of partner, longtime friend, has been in farming for a long time, so he's brought some much needed kind of experience, help decision making in the last couple of years. My parents over there, Carolyn and Rodney, moved onto the farm in 2016 and have been helping kind of part-time ever since. But I have been here since 2012. Actually bought this place, it's about 21 acres. Bought it with my ex-husband Andy, and then in 2020 we split up, and so I've been doing it, kind of managing it on my own ever since. Obviously that's a very long story, very short, but that's what happened. So bought the place in 2012. 2013, well, I'll say this, there was nothing on this property. So everything that you see has been built in the last 12 years. And if you had come here in 2014, it wouldn't have looked, or even 2016, it wouldn't have looked like much. So it's taken, like really every year there's been some pretty substantial change that makes it look and feel and operate more like an actual farm. So definitely didn't start out looking this way. So 2013 was our first growing and selling year. We built this high tunnel with an NRCS EQIP grant, built the barn, lived in it in a little travel trailer for a couple of years because there was no house. Started selling at the farmer's market, just produce, a little bit of eggs, probably sold $100 a week or something like that, that first year. Both my ex-husband and I were working off the farm. I had a couple part-time jobs, he had a full-time job, so this was very much a side gig for a few years. So where we are now, so kind of going from that to now, we have about 2¼ acres of cultivated area, and maybe 3/4 of an acre is up front, and then the rest we'll go see here in a few minutes. We'll walk back to the main big field in the back. And so total of 2¼ acres. And we only actually grow crops on that, on half of that each year. So a little over an acre, we actually have our produce and now cut flowers on. The other half gets put into cover crops every year. So from usually like about this time in one given year to all the following year up to the next spring, it's in cover crops, in a rotation of cover crops. And that has been a key to making some pretty cruddy soil workable, 10 years in or 12 years in. So that cover cropping is a huge piece of what we do and what makes it work. We started with pretty heavy clay soil, really crappy drainage. Water just would sit on the surface. And it'd be even hard to get a shovel in the ground. And now it's really night and day after, each year it got a little bit better. And now, like, looking back, it's just so much better. And I really think the cover cropping is 90% of that. So that leaves us about an acre and a quarter that we grow our crops on every year. It's about 70% produce, 30% cut flowers. Our produce is certified organic, has been from the beginning. The flowers aren't, but that's because they can't be. There is no certification for flowers. And I have about a fifth of an acre under plastic, so the high tunnels, and then we'll see some caterpillar tunnels at the back. Like I said, this was built in 2013. This one, I think, in 2015. The 3 caterpillar tunnels we've just added in the last couple of years. So we're just kind of slowly adding kind of that capacity. We sell all of our products, or let's say 95% of our products, either through the Muskogee Farmers Market on Saturdays or through our farm stand, which you may have seen out the window, the little red shed. That's open all day, every day, normally about 10 months a year. We have gone year round with that quite a few years, but we've been taking a couple months off every year for the last few years. And so that's about half and half. Half our sales at the farmer's market, half our sales here on the farm. That is a self-service farm stand. And then a tiny bit of wholesaling to food programs and florists, but like really just a few % of our total sales. Did you have something to say? Okay, I thought you went like that. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, our goal is to we're not trying to like super expand from where we are now. I've been full-time on the farm since 2017. And, each year it just becomes kind of a more comfortable existence financially. I was able to bring on kind of a part-time partner this last year, and the farm has kind of slowly grown to accept that. Able to pay my parents to help out as well. So we really aren't looking to like get huge or anything like that. We kind of like where we are, but we are trying to make little improvements every year to just make things better. So a couple of the things that we do use a tractor. We do tillage. We try to minimize that as much as possible. We use drip irrigation for the most part. One of our problems is our well is a little bit minerally, a little bit salty. So it's kind of a problem to use it nonstop in these tunnels. So we use rain irrigation as much as possible. The little green tank is kind of an overflow from our black tank, which is for the house. And as much as possible, we irrigate in the tunnels with rain. And that's made it possible to keep these tunnels sustainable because the soil was getting really funky before. Yeah?
Did NRCS have anything to do with it?
No, we added that in 2022, and I didn't have any support for that. Yeah. So I thought what we would do, that's kind of the overview. I thought what I'd do is just, you guys can kind of wander by the high tunnels, and then we'll walk back past this second one. We'll see the seedling greenhouse, and then we'll head back to the backfield, which is inside a deer fence, and you can see some more stuff back there. But anybody have any questions about anything you're looking at right here?
You had a question earlier about the self-service on the farm stand.
Yeah.
Are you going to be talking about that more later?
Really not, so it would be good to talk about that now.
Yeah. How that's going.
Yeah, it's really going well. I mean, I continue to be pleasantly surprised.
Just to visit.
Yes.
Like a couple months ago, just
Good.
to see what it was like.
Yep.
My thing to grow my own butt.
Yes.
Curious on
Yeah.
because we're looking at maybe doing something like
Really? Okay. So I would say, most people's first question is about theft, whether people steal.
cameras all
Yeah,
around.
we have
It's
cameras, and I would recommend making the cameras very visible. I even like this system I have now. It's not an expensive system. It's a little old school. It doesn't come to my phone. It's not on Wi-Fi, but I can go look at it on a screen out there. So as soon as I think someone has stolen something, I can look at it right there. But the other thing I like is that it beeps when people walk in. So they just know that there's something happening. We have had some thieves over the years, and I think the biggest thing is just getting right on top of it. one way or another, just trying to figure out who it is, if it's consistent. And we have confronted three different people.
I asked you how
Yeah.
did you deal with the
Yeah.
thieves?
Yeah.
Figured out who they were.
We actually had to like go out there and find them when they were there. And to do that, we did have to do temporarily like a cell phone camera out there so that we could see when they were driving up once we knew who it was. And then we just had to like run out there and say, like, we know you're stealing. But it's only been, like I said, 3 times in 10 years. So one of them did.
Confronted them.
One of them did come back and is still a paying customer, but unfortunately did repeat offend later. Had to confront him again. So he's actually 2 of the 3. But
Same one.
yeah. So other than that, we get every dollar that we expect 95% of the time. Yeah.
95%.
Were they stealing money or the vegetables?
Just vegetables. That is another key, is the money is locked up. It's bolted in, there's like a newspaper stand, and that is bolted to the ground. And so once you put the money in there, it would take some serious equipment to get it out. I empty it regularly, so there's never more than a couple $100 out there. So so there's no way, anyone who's going to steal, all they're going to get is free vegetables. So it's not as enticing as you might think to,
Right.
yeah.
My husband
Yeah.
and I had that conversation about the stands, and I said, well, usually the people who are wanting fresh vegetables aren't your thieves.
Yeah.
So
Yep. Yeah, it's a small group of people who will drive out here, want vegetables, and want them so bad and that they don't pay. So I think it's just not that many people. I think there are more people who pay extra, honestly. Yeah. The one more thing I'll say about it is I think where we actually lose more money is just people making mistakes. Just not doing the math correctly. And I'm not quite sure how to fix that other than just kind of accepting that we're going to lose a little that way. And overall, I think it more or less evens out between people who do give a little extra. So, yeah. All right, let's wander this way. So we're kind of shutting everything down, not everything, but we're kind of in this kind of closing most of our beds down process, and then some of this is going to get replanted for fall crops. So there's a lot of empty space right now, and that's why. It's just kind of a transition time. And I will ask you not to walk in the tunnels. We just try to limit foot traffic in there. But feel free to look in from the side, from the ends, however you like to do it. Let everybody catch up here a minute. So where do you guys grow at?
We're in Tulsa.
Okay.
Yeah, RG Food. So we've got a little farm, and
Yeah.
we have a mobile grocery store, but we're
Okay.
also opening like a little micro market.
Right on.
Hopefully to like funnel the produce from the farm into there.
Yes.
Also working on like aggregating produce from like local growers to sell at that store as well.
Very cool. Nice.
We're learning a lot today.
Okay, good. All right, so this was my first seedling greenhouse. I think I built this in like maybe our second year of growing. It was half this long, so it was not a lot of space. And I used that up until 2022. So that got us a long way. And I think I spent $300 to build it or something like that. So, and it was not high tech. I had a little propane heater right here. Obviously stayed very warm because it was so small. And it really did work for a long time. Didn't really need much. And then in 22, we built this greenhouse. It's a little more automated. It's at least got an automated ventilation, some circulation fan, and obviously a lot more room. Still not huge, and I do not need it to be any bigger than that. It's every bit of space that I need. And then right behind you is our water wheel transplanter. So you can imagine that hooked behind a tractor, and that's been great because it's like a 3-person operation. So my stepdad can drive the tractor and my mom and I can sit on the back. It doesn't break your knees or your hips or your back to transplant. And we can, you know, most of our beds are 100 feet long, and we can do a 100-foot bed if there's nothing weird about the plants where they're hard to get out of the container. We can do that in 15 or 20 minutes. And it gets watered in at the same time. And that is without anybody like feeling stressed. So I really love that piece of equipment. It's definitely, if you're gonna be at a, you know, an acre or more scale and using a tractor, I think that's a great option. We do also use now, just the last couple of years, a paper pot transplanter, which is kind of a one-person transplanting machine. And that is over by the wash area. When you guys have the second half, you can check that out too.
What do you think about that one?
I like it a lot. It allows me to do a lot more crops transplanted, you know, like a turnip, beet, like baby greens and things like that. Yeah, the paper pot does decompose, not as fast as you might like. You'll see out there's some bits of it here and there, but it works well. My main challenge is because this was our main transplanting tool, plus a lot of hand transplanting, I didn't need my beds to be very like smooth. So I did a lot of like, I wouldn't even use the tiller. I would just like disc it and shape it, and it'd be kind of rough, and there'd be still bits of old crops and cover crops in there, and we just plant them between them. The paper pot, you have to have a smooth bed. And so that has required some more finessing and figuring out how to actually use the equipment that I have. And I didn't realize how like sloppy I was. It was like, let's put it in. But that actually requires you to be really careful. But it not only allows you to do kind of smaller crops that you wouldn't, like financially, you wouldn't want to stand there and transplant a bunch of beets necessarily, or turnips, or like arugula, things like that. But it makes it really quick. You do 264 plants or cells in one tray, and a single tray takes, I mean, less than 5 minutes, a few minutes. So it's really quick. So let's move on back so you can see the back field here. And if any of you want to ask more about the greenhouse, I'm going to get Doug to stay there if you'd rather see that than anything else. Hey, Doug.
Yeah.
Would you want to hang out by the greenhouse in case anyone wants to ask?
Yeah, for sure. And Meredith said 10 more.
Yeah, I saw. Thank you. All right, so we built, sorry. I got to wait till people catch up. I was told you have to wait till people can hear you. So we built this deer fence, or we actually hired it built in 2021. So it's only been with us a few years. Before that, it was like every year the deer pressure was more and more. And it got to the point where it was a no-brainer. We had to do something. Like I had borrowed a friend's rifle, like I was going to become a hunter, you know, and then it was like, you know what? It's not going to fix it anyway. Let's just build the fence. So this is an 8-foot tall fence. This is surrounding about 2 acres total. The fields, I think of this as 2 fields, are each between 1/2 and 3/4 of an acre. But this 2-acre area fenced cost around $10,000 to do. So it's not cheap, but I know that it has paid for itself, no question. I mean, the effort of putting in a crop, you know, growing out the seedlings, buying the seed, prepping the bed, planting the crop, and then just to have it eaten, like it's just not, you can't just keep doing that over and over again. So I would highly recommend a deer fence from the get-go if you can afford it. All of the little recommendations people have, the soap and the wavy things, they don't do it. So we have the 3 caterpillar tunnels here. They're each 100 foot long. And then what you can see kind of looking around is we have our fields split into zones that are about 8 beds wide, 100 feet long. And so you can kind of see this rotation that has happened. All of our crops in 24 were over here, plus in the tunnels. And there's still some kind of late summer stuff there in the back. And then all this side, except for where the tunnels are, was cover crop all year long. And we've got a section tarped where our fall crops are going to go, our garlic and overwinter onions. And actually this tunnel is moving over there this fall. That's a great thing about these caterpillar tunnels over a high tunnel is they're very easy to move relatively. So myself and Doug and my parents can move this tunnel in half a day. Plastic down, up, everything. And what that's going to allow is kind of renewing the soil, letting it get rainwater. Because the absence of rain, I didn't realize what an issue that is, but the absence of rain under these tunnels can become a problem over enough years. So having that ability to move it, I think, is really important. You can see the shade cloth on this one. I'm not very good at like growing cool weather crops in the summer yet, but I'm giving it a try. We can actually kind of go see. So I got kind of the keys to trying to grow this cool weather stuff when it's hot is the overhead irrigation, shade cloth, and as much ventilation as you can get. I've got to fix this like sidewall issue. I probably just need to take the plastic off in the summer and let it just be shade. But we've got radishes, some herbs, salad greens, and these, I just planted these yesterday with the paper pot transplanter. These are sweet turnips. And none of that really, I don't think any of that would be growing decently without the shade cloth. So I think that's pretty key for hot weather growing. So you can see our cover crops. Yeah, go ahead.
Between the Gothic and then just, do you have a preference?
I'm fine with these. I actually bought that Gothic from a friend who was quitting farming. Otherwise, I would just stick with these. I can get my tractor. What I do want is they have an extender on these that would allow me to drive really close to the side with my tractor. I can use my tractor in there, no problem, but if I'm like trying to keep the middle bed and only work the side bed, it's really not high enough on the side. So they do make an extender that just raises it up a little bit higher. Yeah. Any more questions about that stuff?
Have you actually been successful with carrots?
Yeah, only in the spring.
Only in the spring?
Yep. And I do, my carrot process is, I've got it kind of down now. I wait for the soil to be pretty moist. I seed them, and I always like rake the bed. It's like a whole lot of, I don't just drive over with the tractor and seed it straight in. It gets raked so it's super smooth. Seed the carrots, and then I put a tarp, like this type of tarp that's right there. It's a heavier tarp. It's a billboard tarp is what it is. I put that over the bed, and I wait until, I put beet seeds under there too. I wait till the beet seeds sprout. I pull the tarp off. I flame weed the bed, and just holding that moisture in with the tarp and preventing rain from hitting the soil is, to me, what allows those tiny little carrot seeds to sprout.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I think you just got to keep the heavy rain off of them. Time?
Ready to switch in
Okay.
about 2-3 minutes.
Okay,
You wanna-
no problem. Maybe just if anyone has one last question.
What's your cover? What are you cover cropping with?
Yeah, so this is our summer mix. I do it a little different every year, but this is, the tall stuff is sorghum Sudan grass. And then there's two other types of grass in there, two types of millet, and then cowpeas and mung beans. One direction I'm hearing, like the kind of people that do the research are suggesting, is inserting more forbs into the mix. So things that are not grasses and not legumes. So a lot of mixes are just grasses and legumes, but they're saying that you get a lot of more soil biology working if you have like sunflower, buckwheat, safflower, and just things that aren't those two things basically. So I'm going to be trying that soon, but this has worked great. I mean, the soil has really improved, like I said. And our organic matter has like more than doubled over the past 10 years, so yeah.
When you're done with that, you just drop it.
Yep, I use a flail mower. Yep, I didn't have one until last year, and that's definitely, if you're doing tall cover crops like a brush hog, we'll just leave it really huge chunks, and it's really hard to work with. So a flail mower is really helpful for that. But yeah, we mow it. Like at this stage, it's ready to be mowed. I just left it so you could see it basically. It needs to be mowed once those kind of seed heads start showing. And that mow won't kill it. Like this has been mowed. I actually intentionally mowed this high so that it wouldn't fully kill it. and it's growing back, but I want that to kind of be still growing. But if you were to mow it and then it gets cold, that will die. No problem. It will die when it gets cold regardless, so then it's easy to work in the spring. Yeah.
So this is the fence is what you did for deer. What
Yes.
about rabbit?
Rabbits, I have a dog that he's really effective at killing them, but I have had more rabbit damage in the tunnels this year than ever before.
Got about 100 rabbits right
They're
now.
good eating.
I do know. I also have nephews who like to come with their pellet guns, and I know that if you shoot a few, like they talk.
Okay, good.
Yeah, and I mean we've seen it.
Green. They don't talk. They scream.
Yeah, I mean they tell each other, "Don't go over there," and so I'll get like this growing problem, and then I have my nephews come and shoot a few, and then it's like it goes away for a while.
Okay.
Yeah, so I know it's violent, but it's the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But most of school districts are going to require some kind of food safety certification. All distributors will require food safety certification. Most bigger restaurant groups would too. Corporate wellness programs are a really popular thing now. Most of them will require food safety for their liability. Independent restaurants, most of them do not require food safety. So if you're looking at a way of you're friends with a restaurant you love, a local restaurant, and want to sell something 20 pounds here, 20 pounds there, that's something that you can do right now without much requirements. So what we're going to do now, so Cassie, her farm that we're on right now, she's a part of the group GAP. I came here a few weeks ago and did a pre-assessment. So we're gonna go over to the wash and pack area. I'll kind of go over, it's a pretty basic setup. I'll show you sort of my suggestions for her, what was okay, what could be better, and then they're gonna tell you about the operational side of it, okay? And it's gonna get hotter over here because now we're in the sun. Okay, so this is their receiving, shipping, storage, and warehouse area, okay? And that is what the audit is gonna look at as this is a nice, simple operation, but this checks off a lot of boxes. One thing that I talked to Cassie about, which I think is kind of cool as you get more into knowing about audits. So one of the questions is your packing house fully enclosed? So this is a no, but it's 5 points. There's a 5-point question. So she's gonna go from 100% on that section of the audit to a 95%. She will still pass and she will not need to have to do anything going forward as long as she gets a high score like that. So looking at stuff like this on farms, this is a very standard operation. This is sort of what I expect most people will be at. I don't expect some really, really nice facility. So we'll just assess, we'll look and make sure there's no bird's nest and things like that. We'll make sure that there's not a bunch of smashed product on the ground. They're doing a good job at cleaning. And so now I'll pass it over for them to talk about the operational side of it.
The basic process that happens on harvest days is Carolyn and I come up here and we make sure that if there's any dirty crates or anything that's happened during the week, we clean those, we sanitize those, we put those away. Cassie brings the harvested produce in. We have a process where the produce goes into our main cooler. Dirty produce goes in on the right side. We take those products out, we bring them out here, we wash them, we clean them, we package them, and get them ready to go out either to the farm stand that we have up at the front of the farm, or we put it into the trailer cooler, and that's what goes to the farmer's market with us. So on Fridays after we get through with harvest, we process everything, we put it into the cooler. That way on Saturday morning all we have to do is hook the trailer up and we can just take that down to the farmer's market, plug it in, and it's cooled, and then we can start setting up our market stand. Once we get the stuff that goes out to the farm stand, once it's cleaned, the clean produce goes to the left side of the cooler. That's how we keep track of what's clean, what's dirty. no dirty crates or no dirty tubs ever go into a stack that hasn't been cleaned and sanitized before it goes in the stack. But at the end of the day, we make sure that the floor's been cleaned, tables are clean, crates and tubs are clean, and they're put in the stack before we leave. And that way, the next day when we come in, we get ready to harvest, we know that we're ready to start processing and cleaning. So, anybody have any questions about anything? You guys are welcome to come up and look at our coolers, look in our trailer, see how we process that. Like I said, it's pretty simple process for us. We use the tub to clean the produce out of. We have a salad spinner that our loose lettuce and loose stuff, when we pick it, we put it in buckets. We have lids for all the buckets. We bring those up here. We put them into the tub. We wash that stuff. Then it goes into the salad spinner. We use the buckets because once I dump a bucket into the spinner, that's about fills that spinner up. We spin it, we dry it, we put it in a crate, and then we start packaging, weighing and packaging that stuff. We sell that stuff out of plastic bags since it's loose, so that we don't have to keep bagging when we're down at the farm show or the market, farmers market. So
How
How
anyway,
do
Oh,
you dry the greens?
that's what we use. We use the salad spinner.
Do it completely? So you
It-
gotta have that.
They're still a little
Yeah.
bit moist when they go in the
Yeah.
bag, but they really need to be. You don't want them to be
Yeah.
completely dry.
A lot of things, that like spinach, kale, things like that are pretty water resistant, so they don't really soak into the water. So we just use our crates and our buckets that drain water out. We'll drain them. We'll let them set for just a second, to dry as much as we can. Then we'll bag it up, make sure and get as much water out as we can. It's not completely 100% dry when it goes in the bags, but
It's not real
it's not just,
labor-intensive.
it's not just,
yeah.
there's not water standing in the bags and things like that. So,
We try, especially try not to.
and then like I said, everything is either stored in our main cooler or it goes into the trailer that's a cooler as well, so that nothing's out overnight or anything like that. So.
Do you have to have a license or certification or anything for Muskogee Farmers Market to sell there?
They do not. I mean, not the loose produce. There are some requirements, like if you have jams and jellies and different things like that with labeling and things like that. But with just the produce and the flowers that we produce here, we don't have any special licenses. Other than being organic, we have to pass, the organic license is a yearly thing that they come and inspect. So this is produce that has been harvested during the week, and it's not been cleaned. Tomorrow morning when we get here, we'll start with the process. We'll clean that, and then like I said, if it's going to the farm stand, it goes over here after it's packaged and cleaned. If it's going to the farmer's market, it goes straight into the trailer and it's ready to go there. So the flower set up here, this is where she does the flowers for the farm stand. Now the flowers that we take to the farmer's market, we put those in buckets in the nose of the trailer, and she takes those up and she makes the bouquets when we're at the farmer's market. So.
Thank you so much.
We've turned the air conditioning units into reefer units so that the temperature will actually get lower than a regular air conditioning unit. So and that's what we use here, and we also use in the trailer. And you can see the temperatures on top of the up there. So it's one of those deals where. And like I said, we just use plastic bags. Basically to bag things up for our farmers market and for our farm stand, the produce that we don't just keep out loose. And then we seal it with this little sealer here. And it's just one of those deals where you just take and it just puts a little tie.
Put that one more time for me?
Yeah, absolutely. And it puts a tie on the end to seal the bags. The thing we like about it is you can get different colors of tape. So, you know, I always have trouble between the regular basil and the Thai basil, Italian basil and Thai basil. And with this, we just make sure when we do Thai basil, got a green. And when we use Italian, we put a red tag on it. So it just helps with identifying stuff when we get down there, and setup's a lot easier because when we get down there, Carolyn and I we set up all the produce because Cassie's making bouquets as soon as we get there. So it's not always convenient to stop and say, hey Cassie, is this Italian or is this Thai? You know, so I'm not that good at it, but she can see it. But anyway, so. Like I said, the salad spinner works really good for drying things out. The only thing is it's not very big. So, you know, we use the buckets over there because like I said, they fill a bucket, and once it's clean, a bucket will pretty much fill inside there. We've got a crate that's attached to the table that we can secure the salad spinner in there so that when you're spinning it, you don't have to try and hold it and everything, and it works really good. Then we put it in a clean crate and we package it into the bags from there. So
I've seen people use like washing machines.
yes, we've seen that too. Yeah, and I'm sure that it works good. You know, I'm not sure that we've ever just taken the time to do. You know, I bet it would work really good. You know, I've seen those too. So, and we've talked about all kinds of different things. You know, and we've used different things. We've tried to use bubblers.
Yeah.
We put a bubble system into a tub like that made out of PVC. It just got to be such a pain to pull that out and have to sanitize the pipes and everything and keep the air flow to it, you know, and so it's just one of those things where we do it this way. We hand aerate it, you know, when we're cleaning and mixing it up, and then we hand package everything, so we look for bugs and things like that, you know, but, you know, being organic, you know, we just, you know, there's bugs and there's things that happen, you know, and so, you know, we do the best we can, but anyway, and then like I said, the trailer's pretty much the same system. It's got some tomatoes in there. That's where the flowers all go. They're in those buckets, and we haul everything down. We got our supplies. These are what we present the produce in when we're at the market. You know, we use crates and quarts and pints, and so. And like I said, this plugs in when we get to the farmer's market. We're fortunate that we've got electricity down there. Otherwise, we'd have to use a generator or something to run our cooler. So. Yeah.
Nice, man. Real nice.
Thank you. Does anybody have any other questions?
Where are your vegetables you're going to sell this Saturday?
They're out in the we harvest on Friday morning. There's some produce in here that is, you know, what we pick, like okra and stuff that can't just go a full week. And like I said, the dirty produce goes in here. So this is the stuff that we will process. We'll start the process with it.
Okra does stay good and crispy a week.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, this came in Tuesday.
Oh, okay.
So it'll be good from Tuesday.
And the date on it.
Yeah, so we try and make sure that everything's labeled and marked. And like I said, when it's clean, we put it over here. This is the stuff that's been scheduled to go out to the farm stand, because even though we just harvest on Tuesdays and Fridays, we try and keep it stocked all week long. And so Tuesdays we'll have some stuff that's already bagged, and so then Wednesday, Thursday, she can just grab that stuff, take it out there and fill the farm stand, and then on Friday we'll harvest again. So, and that's when the majority of the produce comes in. So.